Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I'm Lieutenant Shane Foley from the IMPD Public Affairs Office. Mayor is having some technical difficulties, so if he's able to join us, we will call on him for some words. In the meantime, I'd like to welcome everybody to this town hall for Northwest District. It's one of a number of town halls we're doing at every district, and it's an opportunity for members of our community to receive some information, but also to ask questions. If you have questions, we ask you to put those in the chat box and the chat field, and then we will ask those to Commander Lewis once we get to that point. So what we're going to do, we're going to have some words from Chief Taylor, and then he's going to pass it off to the Commander, and then Commander will give a brief presentation, some information about how things have gone last year and how things are going on Northwest District, and then we'd like to open it up to your questions and to your input. We want this to be a two-way conversation, not just a one-way communication. So with that, I'd like to pass it off to Chief for a brief introduction. Chief?
Well, good evening. Great to be here with you all. This is probably the most important town hall we'll have because I live in the Northwest District. So I know there's good officers working this area, but look forward to keeping you apprised of the different things that your IMPD is doing to keep you safe, and also to try to make sure that we're having regular communication with you. So this town hall is virtual, just like the others have been, and the ones to come will be, at least till we get through this first round. Each district will have one. I think the virtual is working out pretty well. I think it allows a number of people to get in, so I'm in favor of that format. However, do look forward to maybe having those in the future as the weather gets nicer, to enjoy some of these events, either at roll call sites or out and about. I will tell you, Indianapolis is doing some great things. A benefit to some of the things we're doing is we are a little bit lower in our crime. So as I look at the statistics for today, at least reference to homicides, we're down 11 from where we were this time last year. That's not a huge number, but it's a move in the right direction. But we're cautiously optimistic those numbers will continue to go down. We're doing everything that we can to make that happen. But one of the things that certainly helps us, maybe not in the prevention of homicide, but in bringing those that are committed to violence in our city to justice, is we've had some really great interactions with you folks. And when I say you folks, I don't necessarily mean Northwest, although I know there's been examples of that as well. But when people get involved, with citizens who care, get involved and let us know what is going on and are willing to talk to us about those things, we have a much better chance of making an arrest and getting those who would commit violence in this community off the street, which is the goal. We, of course, would rather the violence not occur in the first place. We're trying to find ways to encourage that to happen. But if it is going to happen, the next best thing for us, of course, is to bring those who would commit the violence to justice, not only for the community, but for those families that are involved in that as well. But thank you again for being here. I know you could be doing other things with your time, but for all of you who decide to join, that lets us know that you care about what's going on. And I do appreciate that. I will give you now over to your commander of the Northwest District, Commander Lorenzo Lewis.
Chief, I'm going to jump in here. See, I believe Mayor was able to join. Mayor, are you with us?
Hello?
Mayor? Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, can everybody hear me? Well, I apologize for the technological difficulties tonight. I'm running a little late. I've got a couple of other stops I'm going to make, but I want to wish you all good evening and welcome to this evening's IMPD virtual town hall for our Northwest District. Certainly my thanks to the Chief, my thanks to Commander Lorenzo Lewis, to each and every one of our Northwest District officers, and frankly, the entire staff of the public safety personnel who are joining with us tonight. Thanks also to the members of our Northwest Side community. By participating in this virtual meeting, you are indeed playing an active role in building a safer and better Indianapolis. For the second year of this pandemic, each IMPD district is hosting a community meeting just like this one tonight. And we believe in holding these meetings because nobody knows a community like the people who live there. No one knows a neighborhood better than the neighbors themselves. And that is why it's important that we not follow a top-down strategy, but rather a bottom-up strategy in fighting gun violence and violent crime throughout the community. Furthermore, a more transparent, resident-focused process is central. It is critical and central to a safer city. And that belief has guided every major policy decision that we have made in the recent years. In 2022, this particular year, in 2023, and in 2024, the city of Indianapolis will invest more in public safety and in neighborhood anti-violence efforts than the city has ever invested before. That amounts to $150 million over that 3-year period of time. And it is always with a community-first approach driving the decision-making. $45 million of investment in grassroots anti-violence organizations and the addition of 50 total personnel serving as peacemakers throughout Marion County, each one charged with the responsibility of connecting residents to public resources. That's a $45 million investment, or said differently, $15 million every year for the next 3 years. We're going to be adding $30 million to mental health treatment, mental health assessment, mental health access, plus millions more on top of that in job training, in reentry services, domestic violence, abuse services, and more. And it also means equipping our officers with $9 million in up-to-date technology and an additional funding for 100 additional sworn police officers to be deployed throughout Marion County. Now that's on top of the 1,753 sworn officers that we currently have funding for. We want to add an additional 100 officers using the American Rescue Plan dollars that have been made available to us by Washington, D.C. These are significant investments. They're significant investments in public safety generally, and the public health and well-being, and the public safety of our neighborhoods, of every street corner in Indianapolis. So again, the city is grateful to all of you for joining us at this pivotal time for public safety in Indianapolis. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your attention. I'm sure I should thank you for the thoughtful questions, the comments, the critique, the constructive criticism that you will offer us tonight. And with that, I know that I followed Chief Taylor, even though the schedule had me going before him. So, Commander Lewis, should I hand it back over to you?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And thank you for the intro as well.
Yeah.
So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Northwest District Town Hall meeting with the chief and the mayor. There's some other command staff on here as well. Again, just always privileged to speak in the community. We can't do this without the community. When we work for you, we police for you, we don't police you. So as well stated by the mayor and the chief, that this is indeed a community policing effort and your input is very valuable. So just to give you, I'll go through this pretty quick because I want to leave time for Q&A. But I do want you to get a good snapshot of what the district looks like and highlights of what we've accomplished and continue to ensure that you have a safe community. So here we go. So this is pretty much currently, some of you may be aware that in 2020, we added some area to the district. And so we're currently about 75 square miles. And that new area was just, that was added just east of Michigan Road. So we pretty much go out to Ditch Road and Grandview Road. So, and we have a really good relationship with that community, Crooked Creek neighborhood out there. We have 19 total beats with that addition. It's pretty much the staffing we have. Blessed to have a really good staff here on the Northwest District, all committed to serving you. And always, the door is always open for your input. So right down, we ended last year with about 185 officers and supervisors. We'll add some more, and we've already added a few more this year, and looking forward to adding a few more. Dispatch runs roughly 120,000, and that's just based on the CAD history. There may be a little noise in that, but as you can see, there are a lot of runs that are taken by our officers. District detectives probably look at close to 9,000 cases. And of course, they couldn't assign all of those, but they do triage those cases. And they've actually assigned over 3,000 last year. In that, we're always willing to reopen a case as we get additional information. So in an effort citywide, last year we started the Enhanced Community Initiative. Again, this is a citywide effort that all the districts participate in. And the goal with this is to use all of our resources in a pretty much a laser type approach to identify the trigger pullers, the places that tend to have a propensity for violence, individuals that have a propensity for violence. It's driven by intelligence. Our crime analysts look at a lot of data. Again, we target high-risk individuals and places. We do hotspot policing. We have directed patrols. Everything is closely supervised at the district level. And we also use our violence reduction teams in a proactive approach. Again, it's a citywide investigative strategy and resources, and we use technology as well. Again, the Enhanced Community Initiative, we call the ECSI. I've mentioned a lot of this. One thing we use a great deal of problem solving. I think it's important for officers to not just be run takers and report takers, but to also be problem solvers. And I'll show you some examples of that as we move on. This is pretty much what the ECSI looks like, a chart. Lieutenant Gable heads that out of the impact unit. Again, the CGIC analyst reports under him. Again, we have a violence crime task force team. They're pretty much plain clothes. They have a gun detective. Again, it's really important that this is driven by the community. So the community resource unit is heavily involved in making those connections in the community. We have 2 uniform units. One operates during the daytime hours, specifically the hours when we have a tendency to have the most violence, and during the night hours, specifically during those hours when we have the most tend to have the most violence. So the first, we kind of tracked the first 4 months of activity last year, and as you can see, the results were very good. During that first 4 months, our ECSI teams had like 65 arrests, seized $132,000 in plus in currency. So you want to hit them in the pocket as well as make the arrests. Those teams alone seized 84 guns. So we get the guns out of the wrong hands, executed 50 search warrants, and got a lot of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and meth off the streets, and some vehicles that are used to perpetuate the crime. So if you see the federal referrals, good 14 referrals, and assist probation and some compliancy visits. Again, those visits are just to target the individuals who aren't following the rules. So last year, Northwest, we ended the year with 41 murders with 7 arrests at that time, 125 non-fatal shootings. And our shots fired, I tracked those. Those are actually down 9%. And the arrests were up from the prior year. So we've had 38 arrests. So I really attribute the reduction in shots fired. It appears that the increase in arrests helped to decrease the number of shots fired. So we do hold those trigger pullers accountable for their actions. So if you look at 2020, we had 2,300 shots fired and 29 arrests. So again, our homicides were down. So I kind of took a snapshot of some of our homicide ages mid-year last year, and you can kind of see the trend is probably about the same. The 27 and 31 year old age we had about 3 suspects, and our victims, we had 7 victims in that age range. So that kind of stood out to me in terms of working with the community to reduce this type of violence, and in terms of addressing the underlying causes for this type of violence. Brief summary for last year. Again, during this time, mid-year last year, where we were actually down mid-year 31% last year. And about 96% of the cases, firearms were used, and Black males made up 47% of the victims. Females make up 21% of the victims. This was last year. So this is very discerning with the females. Looking at the data, they're particularly Black females make up a great, huge part of that number. And I think that's useful information in terms of, again, addressing the underlying causes for this type of victimization and working with the community to reduce it. So overall crime in 2021, we were actually up total crime. We had trended down total crime the last 3 years that I've tracked this. But I think the significant increases in that were due to reported car thefts, break-ins, and simple assaults. Again, the reporting is important. We encourage the community to report. I rather have a higher total number of crime due to the reporting, so that we're able to address the likelihood of a homicide or a non-fatal shooting. As you can see, our violence was actually our serious violence incidents were actually down last year. So our homicides were down 11% last year. Aggravated assaults were down 38%. Our non-fatal shootings were down 19%. And those could easily be homicides with just a millimeter or so of where that bullet, or usually firearms, uh, tend to be used in those types of crimes. And our robberies were down 21%. So our actual serious violence overall have trended down the last 4 years. So we also we have two really good mobile crisis teams here on the Northwest District, and this is an example of our work in, so that we're not criminalizing mental health issues, that we're actually as an agency providing resources and help to those individuals who are spiraling into a mental health crisis, uh, so that we're not making the jail a mental health facility, and that we're getting these people to the right facilities and getting them the right help. And this is just an example of one of the uh, one of the officers, one of the teams, some of the work they've done. They actually made 197 home visits, 690 immediate detention follow-ups. So total follow-ups, 1,508 follow-ups, and made some referrals of services. And the Assessment Intervention Center, which is a really nice facility out in the old Twin Air area where the new jail facility is. It's a really nice facility. Made some great efforts in referring individuals to those services. This is just the work of one of them. I have 52 referrals for that. Our officers are trained as crisis intervention. They're trained in that. So our behavioral health officers and MCAT officers have that training, and so do the very vast majority of our officers on the street. And that training is provided by NAMI of Indiana, National Alliance on Mental Illness. Again, the MCAT, which is a mobile crisis team. They're mobile, they're more proactive, responding to calls that they hear on the radio. Pretty much the same training as the behavioral health team. Just recently, we've combined both those units into one, and they're actually both called MCAT this time. Again, they're paired up with, there's a police officer paired up with a Eskenazi crisis specialist, a social worker, and they're all specially trained de-escalation tactics and how to deal with mental health issues and provide information for resources. So hotspot mapping, this is how we identify areas where we have the most disorder. This is a 24-hour map every day. Each command team, each district, including myself, we're on a call every day, and we're sharing information that we retrieve from the last 24 hours. So even when a crime occurs on the Northwest District, we're able to communicate with other districts to ensure that that crime doesn't spread to other districts, and also just to harness the information that will be valuable from district to district in solving these crimes. It's called a heat map. And so the darker the red, the more disorder. This is very valuable in terms of allocating our police officers on a daily basis, and also where we will allocate even some of the new technology that we have, such as the crime cameras. Here's a good example of the new technology. This is a gunshot detection system that we have that will be deployed citywide, will assist us in identifying the directions where gunshots are fired. And again, another valuable resource, that even the B-Link system, where homeowners can link into this voluntarily and offer their cameras to law enforcement. So when a crime occurs within their neighborhood, in their area, we know that there's a camera there that would help us to retrieve valuable information to help solve that crime. businesses as well. We have a lot of businesses on board with that also. And you can always go to the city website and sign up for that, blinknd.org. Again, that's voluntary. Few highlights. I know we talk about a lot about the speeding and excessive high speeds on various streets. But again, I encourage my officers to be problem solvers. This is a good example where some officers who patrolled the Lafayette Road and 38th Street area got together and said, hey, we want to do something about it. We encourage that here on the Northwest District, and I know the other commanders do as well. But here's a good example of what when you empower your beat officers to go out and solve a problem. This is a good example. 15 traffic stops. This was just within a short period of time that they did this, and they've made some arrests, and they've got another gun out of the wrong hands, and got the vehicle as well. So. If you can see, one of the suspects had some pretty serious charges for robbery, kidnapping, and was on GPS monitoring. Again, here's another good proactive work done by our violence reduction teams, where they got a serious violent felon, these 100-round drums, drums that they put in their weapons, very dangerous individuals, and got a lot of money off the street. This is another example where doing compliance check, and these are done on individuals who are on probation or parole, where we have reliable information that they are still in the game. They're not taking advantages of the resources that they're able to get by being in community corrections. So we have to hold them accountable. And this is an example where those individuals are held accountable. So we focus on getting guns out of the wrong hands. We ended last year with a little more than this, close to 700 guns off the street. At that time, I think when I counted, it was 617. It's a little more than that now from last year. That's a lot of guns seized out off the street and out of the wrong hands. Here's another problem-solving initiative that we conducted in the Martin Luther King and Riverside area. 133 arrests, and you can see some guns and drugs off the street due to again, with our new relationship with the Crooked Creek Neighborhood Association, really that close relationship that we built of trust and working together. Some officers decided to do a problem-solving initiative in that area and made a total of 74 arrests, and even got solved some robberies in that area as well. An example of the foot patrols that we do citywide, good focus on that, build some pretty good positive relationship with our youth and the community. That's in the Municipal Gardens area down off 1800 Lafayette Road. But we on the Northwest District had about 6,000 or so foot patrols. At the time, year to date, we have over 500 foot patrols. Community engagement is very important, that we have a close relationship with the community. We give the community opportunities to share their concerns and issues with us. This is an example of the good mayor and the chief supporting our efforts in the community to build positive relationships in the Homewood Park Estates. Where we walked around that community for about an hour and a half, doing one good day, nice, beautiful day, nice, beautiful neighborhood as well. Another good relationship here with some of our churches, and of course the grade table. That's a live social media radio show that I have a seat there once a month. So it's a pretty good show. Usually it's the last Thursday of every month, and everyone's feel free to join that conversation. Again, it's just another example of us interacting in the community, seeing it from someone else's, or at least giving someone else an opportunity to voice it from their viewpoint, right? We may not always agree with everyone, but I think it's important to give everyone an opportunity to say what they feel they need to say from their point of view, and it just makes us all better. Again, as Dr. Terry Webster has this program over at his church, and a Male to Men program. Just had the pleasure to speak with these young men and fathers. I think the importance of this is this is an example of there are men and who are working with young men in our Northwest community who are really working hard to make things better. And so it's always my pleasure when I see something like this to get involved and to also build a positive relationship with law enforcement and these men and these adult males and young men who are trying to make a difference. Again, the library is a very important resource in the community. It's always fun to get out in the libraries and again, another opportunity to have positive contacts in the community. 29th and MLK, Dr. Harrison over there, he takes a strong interest in his community there. And this was a peace walk that we did over there. This 30th and Tibbs location, one good summer, our officers were just decided this was just something spur of the moment, wasn't planned, but they decided to greet the kids as they got off the bus and give them ice cream. And there were a number of kids happy to get that. Our crime fighter of the year was Sandy Frauheiger. Very great, great community. The Branch Creek Neighborhood Association, they do a lot of good work there to improve the quality of life in their neighborhood. And they all work together to make it safer and a better place for everyone to live. And we have a great relationship with them. Our crime watch coordinator is Kim Taylor. That's her email number. If you ask what can you do, that's one thing. Join a crime watch and contact Kim Taylor. So goals and objectives for 2022. These are just some examples. I won't read all of them, but so reduce violence and violent crime and problem solving through beat policing. Again, I think community policing, hearing your thoughts and concerns is what drives us. We want to police for you and not police you. So if we're not doing what you think we should be doing, then we need to hear about that. Again, I talked about problem solving, also working with grassroots groups as well. It's very important. And the using intelligence and technology in policing, it's very important. It just gives us an opportunity to identify the disorder quicker and to be more efficient with our resources. We have a strategic intelligence officer who has Northwest District will have the first room in the new facility that will have a setup unlike any other district at this time that will eventually spread to the other districts, and pretty much like a real-time data center, almost something like that. So we'll have access to a great deal of information that can be pushed out to our officers daily so they can spend more time actually acting on information as opposed to researching information. Again, it's important to work with our officers, ensure their career advancement. I think it makes a better officer, better trained officer, and it helps with morale, and a more knowledgeable and professional officer. And when we're always looking to maintain our staffing, we're always looking to promote the agency, the professionalism of the agency, and recruit the individuals that you want to see as police officers in your community. This is the future location. As a matter of fact, it looks a whole lot like this right here. It's at 4005 Office Plaza Boulevard. The signage is up. So if you're ever going down 38th Street, West 38th Street, you'll see signage pointing to the new location. If you're going down Lafayette Road, you'll see signage pointing to the new location. That's an example of the construction. An example of what it looks like on the inside prior to completion. and there's a Google map about where it is. That's Lafayette Road. You can hit it off of Office Plaza. Across the street from that is the International Market Coalition. Very proud to be in the middle of the window of the world, the International Market Coalition community. I think it's already a great partnership, and we'll continue to build on that to benefit the entire district, not just that area, but the entire district. I look at that as a way to unite the entire district and make it a better and safer place. And you can get to it off of West 38th Street as well. And we're recruiting. I think they were offering 75,000 a year when I tried in 1985. I would have knocked the doors down, but I knocked the doors down for 16.5. So I think I think that's a great competitive salary there. And I'd have to say that I've had 37 years of a great experience. This is our Northwest District contact information. These are all the command staff for the Northwest District. Captain Young is out at night. Captain Leary's here during the day. We're all available pretty much anytime. Lieutenant Gable heads our impact team in ECSI. Sergeant Dixon handles the community resource. He's in charge of that. Sergeant Tiffany Hastings over the detectives, supervisor of the detectives, and Kim Taylor's our crime watch specialist. Q&A.
All right, we'll get right into these questions.
My bad. Gotcha.
Go ahead and get right into these questions. The first was it's like an individual having concerns about shots coming from Gateway, and say request. I'm not sure there's really much we could do about making it a gated facility, but speak to what people can do if they do have gunshots coming from an area, and if they have a problem location, how they can address that.
Yeah, so we're very, very aware of that, and our officers who run that beat, we push that out in our daily crime report to the officers. Those officers that run that area have been tasked with actually focusing on that a little more. Your phone calls are very important. As you can see, I think last year we had 38 arrests, and we've made some arrests this year based off your phone calls. Without those phone calls, we don't make those arrests. Well, I say we won't make those arrests, but your phone calls gives us a better chance to make those arrests. So just continue to call those in. We do get your calls. We do map those shots fired as well. I didn't have that up here, but we pay attention to that daily.
You mute your mic. Okay, next question has to do with gunshot detection technology, because it's in this PowerPoint, and it's something we want people to know about that's happening in the city. I'm going to defer to Chief Bailey for this, if that's okay. Can you explain where that's going to happen and what the plan is moving forward with gunshot detection technology, sir?
Yeah, it's part of the American Rescue Act money, which the mayor referred to in his remarks today. The IMPD received approximately $9 million to do many different types of technology, and part of that was funding for a gunshot detection pilot program. And so we're going to pilot. We're going to test as many as probably no more than 3 different companies, but it'll be in the same small geographic area on the east side of Indianapolis to test whether or not this technology works and does what we anticipated to do. Does it meet the community's expectations? And then after that pilot is complete, we'll review all the data, have conversations with the community, and decide whether or not we're going to roll it out on a permanent basis, or at least over the next couple of years after that, as we have the funding. And then after that, in that small geographic area, we can discuss it as a community and a department, whether or not with the council and the mayor's office, whoever sits in those seats, about whether or not it's something that the taxpayers want to foot the bill for long term, because it is a expensive technology, and the money we're using is one-time money, and so it's a short period to try to test to see if that's something we want to do long term.
Thank you, Chief. Next question we have, and if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat. Next question we have is, what can members of the community do to help our officers and help improve Northwest District?
Yeah, absolutely. Joining our attending our Crime Watch meetings. We have a monthly task force meeting. We definitely want to hear your concerns, and we definitely welcome your interaction. We offer that monthly in person and virtual for those who make it more convenient for you to. So we want to give you every opportunity to have input. We do roving roll calls as well. So if you ever want a roving roll call, we can hold roll call in your community so that you can actually interact with the officers who patrol your beat as well. Again, we always say when you see something, please call it in. It does make a difference. I think I went through that PowerPoint pretty quick, but I think, but I would have to tell you, I know for a fact that we wouldn't have had those results without your phone calls, your input in the community meetings. Again, the gateway, we know about that because of you, and officers are always in that community. Again, we staff accordingly. So we always make sure we have the adequate amount of officers in those neighborhoods to address your concerns.
Next question is, the identity of peacemakers and violence interrupters are not known to the community. So how would community members get in touch with them to receive their assistance? How does the community hold individuals accountable for improving public safety if they don't know who these individuals are? Commander, you want to give that a shot? If not, maybe
Sure.
the chief can jump in.
Sure, I'll give that a shot, and the chief might want to add to it. Again, that's I know that's being spearheaded out of the investigations division. I think that's a pretty quick thing. I think that's doable to ensure that you know who they are. We can always make that information available. Again, I think that's still kind of in the works as well. So I think that it's just a matter of just contacting me or contacting Commander Thomas as well. He would be able to provide you with that information as well.
Commander, the Peacemaker and Interrupter program are run out of the Office of Public Health and Safety and not part of the IMPD. And one of the main goals is that we as the IMPD have as much separation from those folks as possible. They communicate directly with people in the Office of Public Health and Safety when they have issues that they hear from in the community. There are some full-time employees that we interact with, but even the police officers, we don't know who the peacemakers and interrupters are, and that's done with intentionality. But the Office of Public Health and Safety by Director Lauren Rodriguez, she's the one who manages that part of it. We liaison with them through the Investigations Division and Commander Thomas, but we don't even know who they are in the community. And Chief Adams, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to add. Chief Bailey kind of touched on it. Really, 3 levels to the strategy. There are the life coaches, community resource coordinators, which are very visible, and they are in your community. The violence interrupters are more, as Chief Bailey kind of alluded to, are designed to be not known to the community. That's for the protection of their safety, because they're going into spaces that normally you and I and others are not willing to go into. And so the reason that their identity is protected, at least at one level, is mainly to protect them, because we're asking them to go into areas to intervene in gun violence and those mostly impacted by gun violence. And so that level is not known to the community or the police, but the other two levels are very public facing, and you should get to know those individuals as they start to interact with the community.
Thank you, Chiefs. The next question is, what is being done about drag racers on 38th Street? Seems to be an ongoing problem almost every night.
So again, our officers are always out. I think there's somebody out there now monitoring that, making stops, pulling cars over, writing tickets. We do that daily. We also, the traffic unit assists us with that as well. So we're constantly monitoring that during the day and at night. It is a priority. I think you saw one of the slides where we have been effective in making arrests. Again, sometimes we at night officers faced with 300 plus cars, and but officers also know that we don't have to catch them all. We just catch some of them, then it makes a difference.
Thank you, Commander. Next question is, we appreciate the roving roll call at Hidden Creek last summer. If something happens in our community like theft of a vehicle, do you all roll through the neighborhood for 5 nights if requested?
Absolutely. You can be real specific about your directed patrols, and we'll work hard to accommodate that request. Again, we want to police in a manner that you want us to.
And Chief Bailey put in information in the chat of how to contact the Office of Public Health and Safety. In hotspot areas, what types of runs are being made in those areas? Claudette, I think what you're asking is what types, when an area is defined as a hotspot, what are the most common, frequently types of runs that we're getting? That's what I'm interpreting, so that's the question I'm going to go ahead and ask.
Yeah. So in those, if you saw the hotspot map, the redder the dots were, the more disorder. So we're tracking there's disorder, which could be domestic violence, gunshots, people shot, homicides. So it would be so those are areas that we consider hotspots. And the goal is to lighten those red spots in the mapping as well. So those are the kind of runs that we get. Usually tend to be in those areas. Again, domestic violence, shots fired, homicides, non-fatal shootings, which are someone shot, and aggravated assaults. And those are areas where we look at that. When we look at that, that's how we decide where we're going to deploy our resources. Where we decide the number of officers we're going to put in that area, problem-solving initiatives that we'll put together for those areas. Again, the proactive work is real important. Foot patrols, bike patrols. As the weather gets better, you'll see more bike patrols, and you'll see the foot patrols as well.
Next question is, are we going to, and I'll go ahead and try to answer this one. Are we going to be receiving gunshot detection sensors near the Gateway Motel soon? Thing is, Chief Bailey mentioned this is a pilot program on, it's not on Northwest District. And then once that pilot program is completed, there'll be an assessment and determination of, is this something that we want for other parts of the city? And then there will be a determination of where that would be if the answer is yes. Go through here and see if there's any questions, go ahead and add them in. One question I think I saw earlier is what does someone do if they have a concern about an officer not doing what the citizen expects that they should have done?
So I get those calls from time to time, and we take those calls very seriously. I encourage you to report those. You can report those. You can ask for a supervisor. A supervisor will come to the scene and take that complaint. I encourage that so that we can address it as soon as possible. And sometimes if it's just a misunderstanding, then we can sort that out. Or if it's just an educational process for the officer or the citizen, we can get that addressed as soon as possible as well. And if it does rise to the level of disciplinary action, of course we will take the appropriate action.
Yeah, I'd like to add, we appreciate hearing feedback on our officers, but we also want to hear positive things. If you encounter an officer and they're doing a good thing and they've done something positive for you, please feel free to give us a call. Ask to speak to a supervisor. We want to compliment those officers for the good work that they're doing, because what we find is that for every one complaint that we have, there's actually a lot of positive things that our community is seeing from our officers. So we want the opportunity to encourage those positive actions, even if it's something as simple as a foot patrol or a bike patrol in your neighborhood. Next question is, what is the status of the license plate readers? Chief, Commander, do you see if one of the
Yeah, I can tell you where we're at. We're getting ready to deploy 25 on the on the Southwest District. We put 10 downtown recently, and then we are about to process an order of over 100 that will be distributed to other parts of the city. So it's ongoing. The process of purchasing in city government, especially, is sometimes a little bit of a process, and so we're moving it forward. That and the public safety cameras, which we've been able to purchase some as well. So license plate readers should be deployed more throughout the city within the next month and a half, hopefully sooner.
Thank you, Chief, for jumping in on that one. Got a question here. I'm going to try to interpret this one. It says, in the outskirt areas in Northwest District to where Avon, Claremont, and Speedway can assist, is IMPD conducting roll-throughs in the outskirt areas of the district? So I think what this is asking is, does IMPD Northwest District patrol all areas of the district and provide regular patrols, including those areas on the outer parts of the area?
So of course Avon is outside the matter of fact outside the county, and what was the other one? I saw Speedway. Oh yeah, Claremont. So we work closely with Claremont. We work closely with them. So yes, you will see us in that area. And the same with Speedway. We work closely with Speedway. So we do work closely with those two agencies. Avon is actually outside the county. So, but we will back up Avon, and Avon will back up us on those borders. So if there's a crime in those areas, we will assist. And if you ask for us, if you ask and if you call for an officer to assist, the closest officer will respond. And if we're closer, we will come.
Doris added a comment. I celebrate the officers who immediately responded to the gunshots at Gateway Motel this weekend. They were in the area. Doris, thank you for that feedback. Last question we have, just about out of time. When the American CARES Act funds are gone, will the programs receiving these funds cease operation unless the city of Indianapolis picks up the funding? Chief?
Yeah, as we said during the appropriations committee hearings for this amount of money, that after this money is gone, then it's going to be up to the council and the mayor's office and the police chief and the community to work together to find out which programs were successful enough to continue funding and which ones may go away. So my hope is that many of them stick around, but that'll be discussions for the council and the community and the mayor's office and whoever sits in the chief's seat 3 years from now. Hopefully it's Chief Taylor. If he wants to stick around that long, we hope so. But that'll be discussions as we moved into the 2024, 2025 budget.
Okay, back to are you muted? Back to Commander Lewis for some closing comments.
I just want to thank everyone for attending and participating. Your comments were very valuable as usual, and we take everything you ask of us seriously. And just look forward to seeing you all at our new location, 4005 Office Plaza Boulevard. We'll start moving in this week, and Monday the 21st, we'll be doing business out of that building. So we'll be a little mobile, be a little patient with us during this week. We'll still answer your calls to service. You won't see a difference in our responses to your calls during that time. It's just that at the building we might be a little in flux, but we're still here for you. And again, we'll announce a grand opening. Look for that to come out here pretty soon. We're working on that, and I think you'll really like the professional atmosphere there in the new building, and the officers are excited. And again, that wouldn't happen without your support. Outpouring support from the community helped to make that happen. And again, thank you, and we're looking forward to a great 2022.
Chief Taylor, you want to close us out, sir?
Yeah. So first of all, again, thank you all for participating in this. Good feedback, good questions, good things for us to look out and work on. So I do appreciate that. I do want to thank my excellent staff. I think their abilities show for themselves. Commander Lewis and Lieutenant Foley and Deputy Chief Adams and my right-hand man, Assistant Chief Bailey, all have your needs, your desires at heart. Trust me, we do. The last thing I'd leave you with is thank you so very much for all the support you've given to our officer, Tommy Manglin, who was shot a few weeks ago. The outpouring from the community, your prayers and thoughts are greatly appreciated by not only him and his family, but certainly the department as a whole. So thank you all for that as well. And with that, I'll conclude and thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. That concludes the town hall.